Have you ever wondered how a game comes to life? What sparks the idea? What shapes it? And how does it actually end up getting made? I'm Joe Chi, and as a video game streamer, I'm always curious about the stories behind my favorite titles. That's why I'm traveling to Africa to visit an up-and-coming game studio. My journey begins in Ile-Ife, Nigeria, founded in 500 BC and home to the Yoruba people, who believe that humanity itself started here. Ile-Ife is also home to Dimension 11, a small studio that embodies the spirit of artistic innovation and the preservation of a culture often overlooked by mainstream media. As they work through their final stages of their first ever release, Legends of Orisha, BloodandWater, I'm here to learn more about their creative process and to explore how they draw inspiration from the vibrant culture and heritage of their hometown. Join me at the intersection of culture, technology, and imagination on the game maker's journey. My first stop is the place where Dimension 11 was conceived, Obafemi Awolowo University, located just outside of Ile-Ife. It's here that I'll meet a few of the co-founders of the studio. As I step foot on campus, I'm eager to engage with the people behind this ambitious endeavor.
David, good to see you again.
Nice to see you.
All right. Thanks again for having me.
Yeah.
So tell me, what was the genesis for Dimension 11 Studios?
I did my internship in a software company, but I had passion for games. And then I tried to do my internship in a games company, but I couldn't find any, right? I searched the internet.
And you were looking in Nigeria specifically.
Yes, in Nigeria.
I mean, the school requires that you do IT in Nigeria.
But you couldn't find any game studios in Nigeria.
Yeah, so I pretty much just pitched the idea, right? I was like, you know what, guys, I think we have to start something. And
the rest is history. Yeah. And so you didn't just go for the next FPS game. You didn't go for the next esports game. You went for a heavy, narrative-driven, culturally driven video game.
The whole Legend of Orisha for every one of us is that even though we are not as recognized, like with all the limitations we have, we could still put out something great.
I remember seeing the GDC statistics on Africa having 1% of the global game developers, and we realized that, okay, at this point, we want to make something bigger for us to prove to the world that African stories can blow everybody's mind. Like, it's big, it's huge.
Yeah.
So what has never been done, let's do that.
What's never been done is a story about a whole culture, a whole mythology that I have very little experience with, Yoruba culture. What does it mean for you to be creating a game based in that culture?
the Yoruba culture wasn't written. It was passed down orally, right? And Ife is the cradle of the Yoruba culture itself. One of the things that has really helped is the fact that we're here in Ife. So we have access to locations, places, where we can learn directly from the people that have passed down this knowledge, right, from generations to generations to generations. And now we can put it in a game that, we can send to the world.
I had no idea about the oral passing down of Yoruba history.
It's the only way. There are no
The only way.
Yeah.
And I can see why that's been a challenge to bring something like that to life.
Yeah.
Listening to these guys, I'm struck by the sheer weight of what they're trying to accomplish. Without a written version of the language, its chances of extinction are amplified exponentially. So the idea that a video game could become a permanent record of an ancient culture inspired me to travel back to Ile-Ife in search of someone who is still giving voice to these oral traditions. In the bustle of the vibrant city, I meet with Dimension 11's Yoruba cultural expert, Yemi.
So, Yemi, after all this research and obviously the life that you've lived as a Yoruba person, what do you hope to bring over to the game?
Well, we are reinventing the Yoruba mythology. For example, one of the Yoruba myths, the myth of Eshu, is mostly demonized as being the Satan in the biblical cosmology. So we are trying to change the perception of people that, okay, in our culture, it doesn't represent the biblical Satan. So we are trying to bring those aspects.
So, Yemi, what is one takeaway you wish you could share after players have played through Legends of Orisha about the Yoruba people?
Oh, I would say the richness of the Yoruba culture in terms of language. You know, these days we have the Yoruba language going into extinction, which is not supposed to be so. When a group of people lose their language, they lose their identity. Most Yoruba people we have now can't even speak the language correctly. They can't even speak it fluently again with the richness of the philosophy and the deep-rooted wisdom we have there. So I'd like to bring the language to the game.
Ìgbàgbèrè kí n pàṣẹ fún un títọ́ sì fetí sí ọ̀rọ̀ mi.
We need to revive that in order to revive the people history.
Yes.
Because language is part of the people. The people is their language, and the language is the people.
And how you share the stories.
Yes.
And that's what you all are going to do at Dimension 11 Studios, right?
Exactly what we are going to do.
My adventure with Yemi continues. We ride a short distance to Oshun Grove, a mystical forest on the outskirts of Ile-Ife. This ethereal location plays a major role in the game, as I was about to learn from the team's creative director, Winston Ohunyan.
The game is set in the aftermath of the fall of the Oyo Empire. So this turbulent space, that's where we set the game. Not just in the narrative design, but also in the level design as well, right? So getting the kind of environment that these people lived in, because this place has not been modernized. So you get the same kind of vegetation that these people lived under, the same kind of animals they cohabited with, right? So it's just a unique perspective into the past. Yeah, so this is the Oshun River. It's where all the sacrifices and offerings people bring and put in the river. You can hear the current and how fast the river is flowing, right? So that's, once they bring the offerings, it takes them immediately. That's the idea. It's a motif that actually gets adopted into our game.
Oh, really?
Right? So yeah, sometimes with different contexts, but the idea is still the same, that the river is capable of
Cleansing.
Yeah, cleansing, the cleansing exercise. So one thing I'd like to bring to your attention is this statue right here. So the significance of this statue is it's the entrance to the Ifa priesthood. So when initiates go through, which you're supposed to do backwards, not forwards, it's forbidden to do it forwards, they sort of traverse through this dimension, through this physical realm. They have the capacity to gain the wisdom and come out of the other side changed. And so trying to draw inspiration from these statues here and adapting it into our game is really one of the most important things that I'm doing with my work. We want to portray authentic African culture, but we want to also present the average gamer with a familiar experience, in the sense that we want to make some more intuitive level design. Like for instance, how are you supposed to know you're supposed to turn the back? That sort of thing, that's what we want to highlight.
And do you think that'll be through hints, or will that be through an explicit sharing?
Making it explicit is going to take some of the power of it. So hints would give the player some good feeling that, oh, I figured this out. That's how we are trying to create a blend between what is authentically African and what is familiar to gaming.
Having learned about the importance of Africa's influence on the game, I turned my attention to the importance of a game coming out of Africa. I head to my last stop for the day, a vibrant bar nestled in the heart of Ile-Ife. It's here that I'll meet up with Temi, a local game exec who plays a pivotal role in helping bring titles like Legends of Orisha to a global audience.
Got you a drink already?
Thanks, man. So tell me, what is your role at Xbox?
So I'm the Global Expansion Incubator Manager for Africa and the MENA region. I think if we want gamers from all over the world and we want to reach every gamer in the world, then we need more diverse content and we need more diverse creators. And my role is basically going to areas where we typically don't see a lot of content and finding really cool games, cool developers, and creating content from those areas and for those areas with the ultimate goal of reaching every gamer in the world.
Why do you think it's important to help studios like Dimension 11?
Because of what they represent, right? It's a small team, bootstrap, that are self-starting. They're really easy to root for because the passion is real, the commitment to gaming is real. I think if we get more content from people that passionate, we're gonna get better games.
As one of the few external partners in this whole project, why is it so important for you to see this game come to fruition? And why is it so important for them to tell the story that they're trying to tell?
We've got a lot of games about mythology from different regions around the world, European, Asian, American. You don't really get many video games about African mythology. So I think it's really important from that point of view that, look, there's great stories here and people need to see them and people need to hear them, people need to play them. And yeah, it's just a great opportunity and I think it's gonna open doors for loads of stories.
And I think we should totally drink to that. Man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cheers, Joe. This was a pleasure.
Yeah, for sure.
As the night sky gives way to the first light of a new day, I find myself retracing familiar steps back to Obafemi Awolowo University and its Department of the Dramatic Arts. Here, I'll meet with Sharon Alabi, Dimension 11's performance director and motion capture actor. She's rehearsing intensely to embody the spirit of Yoruba ancestors that inspired the game's characters.
You are Yoruba, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
And how does being Yoruba impact the way you work on this project?
So I was born into the culture, into the language. So when Winston needed help with the scripts, I would give him ad-libs. That's because it's innate. It just comes to me. I don't have to think so much about it.
As a new war of the gods may well be upon us.
So what you're saying is there wasn't that much research that you needed to do. This all came from within, from your own history with Yoruba. I love that.
Yes.
Talking about this whole project, obviously it's a big task to produce such an incredibly ambitious game. It really is. What are some of the challenges you faced during this process?
At first, I wasn't so familiar with the intricacies of what it means to act in a game. Especially first time I got in the mocap suit. It was fascinating. Wearing it makes you look like a ninja, actually. It makes the job easier because I learned that without the mocap, you have to animate each and every single action.
And as you're actually moving, as you're acting yourself, what are some ideas that are flowing through your head to stay authentic and real to the story that Winston wants to tell?
Just subtle details that makes it feel Yoruba-like. For instance, the way you flaunt your sword, it has to be original. Yeah. If you do like this, you could look, you could look, yes. But as a Yoruba man, you want to exaggerate your movement because you're on the offensive side. So those details, that's what makes it Yoruba. And then you see yourself on the screens where your actions are being replicated. And then it's, wow. I was squealing inside. Oh my God, is that me? I was so excited. My joy knew no bounds than actually seeing myself on TV. I don't think any joy would have measured to that. So I cannot wait for the world to see what we are cooking up.
Ever since I was young, I've always wanted to see myself in one of my favorite video games. Now, thanks to Dimension 11 Studios, I'm literally going to get to step inside the experience of the Yoruba culture.
The wingspan is 180. Okay, 179.
I'm going to strap you up with the mocap belt.
Last but not least, the head.
Those? Calibration complete.
Are you ready to learn some moves? So it's like you're carrying it and then hacking.
And hacking.
You could do this. Put in more. Yeah, you could do better.
The machete is not like a piercing weapon.
Yes.
It's slashing.
I'm going to slash, you're going to block, you're going to slash, then I'll block. Okay, so death animation. That is pretty good.
So,
Who's this character I've been controlling on the screen?
This is our main character, Remy.
His full name is Remy Lekun, which is a Yoruba name that translates to comfort me in my time of sorrow. He has lived a life of violence. From a young age, he was recruited into the army of the Oyo Empire until the empire dissolved, and now he is currently on the search for identity.
Very cool. Thanks for the context. Continuing my exploration of Dimension 11 Studios, I find my way to the realm of the programmers. It is here that intangible lines of code transform into vibrant animations, breathing life into the immersive world of Legends of Orisha. As I reunite with David and Owerri, the brilliant minds behind the game's development, they eagerly invite me to witness the demonstration of one of their many meticulously crafted game systems.
What we're about to show you is a new system that we're working on, the positioning system.
So it's the fight ring. Like, you want to create a rule of order. You want to have them well positioned so that the player doesn't get overwhelmed by a lot of enemies.
How many enemies can we be expecting to fight simultaneously versus within the arena?
The system depicts that. Fight priority. Like, we use several rules to determine which enemy can fight.
And based on the rules and where the player is, currently, these guys, the max is set to 3, and all the other ones would be technically waiting for him to kind of like play and then fight.
It's a little easier to see that process happening in an empty space.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure once you fill it up with sound and set pieces and environments, and then just also idle animations from the others, I'm sure this system becomes a little less apparent, right?
Yeah. The idea is we should be able to spawn these enemies as frequently as possible, right?
Liberally.
Yeah. Just to keep them engaged.
I mean, this has been very enlightening to me, by the way. I've played hundreds of games in my lifetime, but I've never actually taken the time to think about these combat systems and all of the time, the effort, the sweat that goes into it. So switching gears here a little bit, I know you guys are the lead programmers on Legends of Orisha, but I think the unique thing is that you are also executives at Dimension 11. I wanted to talk about any technical hurdles and challenges you've had to overcome.
Oh my God.
You probably have a running list.
Africa is just coming up in the games industry. Like, the industry is still very young. So to get talents, we've had to train people in this part of the world, teach them, oh, this is how you do this and that, so that they can be up to speed and be part of us. But there's something that makes us stand out in Dimension 11, inclusion. In AAA space, not everyone is included. You don't really get to interact with other things, and then you're probably doing just one thing. But in Dimension 11, one person can do a lot of things. You can be a programmer and then do a bit of art. So it gives us that leverage over AAA space. Aside that, we had issues with assets. For example, the popular marketplaces we have for art assets out there, they don't really have African assets. Like, I went on every marketplace and I was searching for
African assets to work with, right?
We are on our own,
So
basically.
now you have to start from the ground up, is that right?
Yeah. So we knew that we had to make a lot of things ourselves. So we had to prepare a highly experienced art team.
I think one of the things that really helped us, and it's one of the mindsets that we have as a company and as a team, is whatever problem we're facing, we will find a solution to it.
It's not that way.
So it's like, so we don't just get to a problem and just stop, no.
I would credit your ambition to get the standards that you want to have for your first title. I was also just curious, what are some video game influences that have inspired Legends of Orisha?
One of the games that really inspired us is Hellblade, Senua Sacrifice, right?
Game.
Like, you really get sucked into the player's world. You get like the emotional things that happen, you see it on the character, and also the depth of the lore. I think there are plenty Norse mythology games out there, but Senua really went deep into the culture, the good things, the bad things. They brought everything together, right? So we just had to look at the highest standard. So what is the best out there? And then we tried to ensure that we give our players the exact same feeling.
I like that. And so where does the development cycle go from here? What stage are we at? Where do we go?
In a couple months down the line, we should have the game at an alpha, right? And at that point, it is pretty playable.
Yeah.
And then from there, we'll take it to public beta testing, right? And from there, it's this launch date.
Goes out there to everyone.
To the world.
Well, do we actually have a vertical slice that I could test out today? Or?
Yeah, sure, we do. Yeah.
Let's do it.
On nights like these, he tortures me. He deforms my dreams for his own delight. I am nothing more than my past, my sins, or what he calls my destiny.
This is what I've been waiting for. Let's go.
Where am I?
Remy, to know me.
Ife? No, I must be dreaming. This is yet another nightmare.
Where do I follow?
As the moment I've been waiting for since setting foot in Africa arrives, I find myself in a room filled with the very individuals who have shared their stories and poured their hearts into the creation of Legends of Orisha.
Sorry, Sharon.
As I sit before the screen, controller in hand, I am keenly aware of the weight of this experience.
This is mocap, right?
Yeah.
It is not just a game. It is the embodiment of a rich tapestry of Yoruba culture, the culmination of countless hours of dedication, talent, and collaboration. With each button pressed, I am transported into a world where myth and reality intertwine, where the vibrant traditions and folklore of Ile-Ife come alive. Playing Legends of Orisha is more than just entertainment. It is the immersion into the collective spirit of a people, a celebration of their heritage and the stories that have stood the test of time.
This whole experience coming to Ile-Ife has been the most profound thing for me as a gamer, and I could not thank you enough, Dimension 11 Studios.
Once again, I am reminded of the overwhelming impact that video games can have as conduits of cultural expression and understanding. Reflecting on my own journey through Ile-Ife, I'm filled with a deep sense of gratitude for the remarkable individuals who've shared their stories, their wisdom, and their passion with me. This is one gamer who'll be connected to Yoruba culture forever, because while playing the game is one thing, nothing beats being walked, literally, through the real-life inspirations for the project. What an incredible adventure.